Hi, welcome back to 52 Books in 365 Days. I'm your host, Joseph Wilkinson, LICSW. This is where I'll be reviewing books on self-help, self-improvement, mental health, family, relationships. This week I'm reviewing Running on Empty No More by Dr. Janice Webb. This isn't a book about abuse or trauma. It's about something much quieter. The emotional support and validation and connection that may have been missing during your childhood. And this is even in homes that appeared loving and stable. Janice Webb calls this childhood emotional neglect, or CEN. One of the reasons this book stood out is that many people don't recognize emotional neglect in themselves. They often say, nothing bad happened to me, yet they struggle to identify emotions, ask for help, or feel truly connected to others. And I can actually relate to that. Like many people, I grew up in a family where emotions weren't talked about very much. It wasn't cruelty or abuse, but emotional conversations simply weren't part of our everyday life. And so what Webb does is she explains that emotional neglect isn't defined by parents doing something wrong. It's about what was unintentionally missing. Many parents love their children deeply, but were never taught themselves how to be emotionally aware. And so as adults, this can show up in subtle ways. People become extremely independent. You have difficulty asking for help. You have difficulty identifying your own emotions. Vulnerability feels uncomfortable. You keep people at a distance without fully understanding why. The encouraging part of the book is that Webb doesn't just stop by explaining the problem. She spends most of the book discussing how to heal. One example is that really stood out is a discussion on guilt. Many people experience emotional neglect, carry guilt almost automatically. And what Webb recommends is asking yourself, what am I feeling guilty about? Did I actually do something wrong? Or am I taking responsibilities for someone else's emotions? On the other hand, if you made a mistake, make it right. But if not, practice letting the guilt go. Another strength of the book is a discussion on parenting. Webb emphasizes that children don't need perfect parents. They need emotionally present parents, parents who listen, parents who validate feelings instead of feeling dismissed, instead of really dismissing them. Parents who create emotional safety. She also offers a simple practice that really anybody can use. And one of them, several times each day, pause and ask yourself, what might this person be feeling right now? And this can be whether it's your child, whether it's a spouse, whether it's a friend, whether it's a coworker. That question builds empathy and strengthens emotional connection. The book also discussed whether and how to talk to family members about emotional neglect you may have experienced. And I also agree with it. Rather than encouraging confrontation, Webb and I recommend this as well, thoughtful reflection. Ask yourself, what are you hoping to accomplish? Are you seeking understanding? Are you seeking connection? Are you seeking closure? And most importantly, are you prepared for the response if it's one that you get that you weren't hoping for? And those are questions that can help protect your own healing. The biggest message I took away from the book is that emotional awareness is a skill. And if you hadn't learned it growing up, you can still learn it now. Healing doesn't require blaming your parents. It requires recognizing what was missing and intentionally building those emotional skills today. So here are 5 simple places you can start. First one is learn to notice your own feelings. If you're not someone that's been in touch with their feelings, maybe having a feeling list and going through that, having that with you to kind of go and review feelings at a time, or having a therapist to go over that with. Validate emotions of people who you care about. Practice being emotionally present. And also remember that healing is a process, not a destination. Right? Running on Empty No More offers practical tools, reliable examples, and hope for anyone who has ever felt emotionally disconnected without understanding why. And whether you're working on your own relationship, raising children, or simply trying to understand yourself a little bit better, I think this book has a lot to offer. Thanks for watching. If you're enjoying this review, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you. This has been Joseph Wilkinson, LICSW, and this is part of 52 books in 365 days, where I read the books so you don't have to. Thank you.